Hello there, good-looking person. This is Dryce Walker here from the studios of Explanation in Los Angeles. In this video, you find out what a retaining wall is and the 5 major steps of building the most common type of retaining wall, which is a gravity wall. You also see sketches of every step on how this retaining wall is made. Stick with us until the end because you find out what is really important when building a retaining wall. Then, the 5 steps to build it and important elements to add to it. So, stay with us. First of all, unless you're a seasoned contractor, we do not recommend you doing it yourself. But it is an easy guide on how to build a retaining wall so you can choose the right professional for each step. Now let's talk about it. Retaining wall, what does it do? Retaining walls provide lateral support to vertical slopes of soil. In a simpler language, they support soil which would otherwise collapse in its natural state. And it most likely would happen under stresses of the weather or during seismic events. Hopefully, you got an engineer to design it first, so no worries because he takes in consideration soils report, slope band analysis, and other essential pieces of information that the average Joe would never understand. Most of the supported soil after a retaining wall is built is sometimes referred to as a backfill. So you stay with me to understand why I'm saying this. Here's an animation that will help you understand. The soil that goes behind the retaining wall is what you want to contain. This soil has to be removed and replaced at the end, but properly compacted along with other safety devices built into it will help you reduce the loads behind the wall. Okay, now that you know what a retaining wall is and what a retaining wall does, I will give you the 5 major steps for building the most used type of retaining wall, which I mentioned before. It is an L-shaped gravity wall. But before anything else, don't forget to subscribe or hit that bell and leave your comment down below. If you do that, you help us make more videos like this one. Or you can hire us to do a sponsored video just for you, you big spender. Thank you for watching and subscribing. Let's start with materials and techniques for this example of retaining wall. You probably already know it, but retaining walls can be constructed of many different materials and with a variety of building techniques. This video will focus on a wall made with a rigid, monolithic, which means one solid block of poured concrete as the structural material for this wall. So you know, often we use steel, lumber, and other reinforcements that are also used in the process of building this type of retaining wall. Now, let me show you the type of construction for this particular example of retaining wall. Why am I showing you this? Good question. Everything I'm talking about here applies for walls that are constructed where a stable back slope can be created during excavation, at least temporarily, prior to wall construction, especially because we are discussing this particular type of retaining wall. Like I said, it is a gravity wall. So to simplify, we also chose for this video a typical design for a gravity wall, which is the L shape. Why, you may ask? Because it is super stable. On the next section, we will touch important construction considerations to illustrate the components of a good retaining wall of that type. We will skip over details about groundwork or compaction, since these are topics on their own right. Let us know in the comments if you'd like us to explain groundworks and compaction. I will do that for you and I'll try to answer any questions. So retaining wall designers and builders of any kind should be familiar with and follow the procedures required for soil preparation and backfill compaction. These things are usually recommended by engineers and dictated by the appropriate local building authorities, especially when building in any kind of retaining wall. So contact your local building and safety. Look up online, grading engineer department for your region. This is called gravity retaining walls because the weight of the materials of this wall and the volume of the wall itself, as long as the wall is monolithic and solid, will maintain its stability by gravity. The building of this type of wall, although seemingly complicated, it is the simplest and most efficient general design. Probably it is why many engineers prescribe this kind of wall. Now, how this type of retaining wall is built in 5 steps. Step 1, grading. This is the first step after you have dealt with engineering. It involves excavating the areas to be retained and shaving away the hillside to fit all the elements of the new retaining wall. At this point, you have to follow the grading plans. The surface where the base of the wall will be built needs to be spacious enough so that all of the steel reinforcements and forms will fit inside and can be made stable. Step 2. Steel reinforcements. If you don't buy a pre-made cage, all the steel reinforcements have to be built and installed in place. Usually, it looks like a cage and will be built according to engineering design. It includes the size of the rebar, positioning of each rebar, and distancing according to plans. Step 3. Forms. We build temporary wood or steel plate forms. These are built to create the final shape of the concrete wall. Contains the concrete in a quasi-liquid concrete state. 4-step. Concrete pour. After the temporary concrete forms are in place and is strong enough to receive the weight of the concrete in a liquid form, a concrete pour is scheduled. All forms are filled with concrete and vibration tools are used to make the concrete fill every nook and cranny in between the forms and in between the steel rebars. The concrete pour has to happen in its entirety on the very same day, no matter the size of the retaining wall, unless you use additives. But that's a topic for another video and another building technique. A same-day pour has to happen because the integrity of the stability of the wall depends on the monolithic strength of the concrete pour. When poured in different days, that creates cold joints, which makes the wall susceptible to cracks. Step 5. Add another element to the retaining wall. Once the concrete sets, the forms are removed and the next elements can be put in place. Stick with us and we will discuss these steps as well. Here are the other important elements of any retaining wall. Waterproofing. At this stage, some people choose to waterproof the backside of the wall. This is done to prevent future water infiltration. But if the wall is completely exposed to the weather and it is outside, it may not matter to you. Keep in mind that a bit of humidity always goes through the concrete, and when it evaporates, it creates the undesirable solid buildup with white minerals. That makes the paint bubble and creates marks on the wall. So save on your paint budget by waterproofing it now. Now, drainage for this type of retaining wall is super important as well. There is a sub-drainage and top drainage, and in combination, any of these two safeguard your wall. First, let's talk about sub-drainage. One step cannot be skipped, a subsurface drain, meaning underground at the base of the new wall before you backfill it. But you may go with another pre-specified drainage system, which usually are designed to protect the wall against the force of water accumulated on the high side of the wall. Retaining walls collapse for many reasons, but the most common reason is the hydrostatic pressure buildup. Therefore, a drainage system is paramount to safeguard your investments. You can find a link for these systems on how to install them on our website. The most used subsurface drainage is the tried and true French drain. This system is composed of underground pipes. They are covered by fabric and gravel, which allows water to penetrate inside these pipes, and water flows safely to a discharge area. We will have a list of most common materials for an efficient drainage system that you can download for free from our website. You can find the link at the description below. Every part you need and how they go together will be there for you. Then there is the superficial drainage. Superficial drainage is important because it catches the bulk of water before it even enters the behind of your wall. It also prevents a lot of trouble, and if you and your offspring keep it clean and off the breeze, it will make your wall last much longer. At least a few generations, I would say. Before we go on, these are the sponsors that paid to have this video made especially for you. They build those walls and they refer their clients to watch this video to understand what they are getting into, so everyone wins in the end. Let's address the final and most important part of any retaining wall, the backfill. Now, good looking person, we reached the very final step, which will make you feel safe standing on the low side of this wall. This is not an easy step. After all, we have a lot of systems that go in place, including sub-drainage, waterproofing, and any other engineering recommendation. A backfill and compaction has to be performed according to the grading plans. Backfill does not only mean that you will move the dirt to the back of the wall. It means that careful layering and compaction has to happen to prevent water infiltration and further collapsing of the dirt. A professional grader can assist you in this step because it requires the right equipment and proper techniques. Once this is done, you can sit tight and watch that wall going nowhere. I mean, like they say here in California, as long as the big one doesn't happen, you're safe. Now you know what it takes for your L-shaped gravity retaining wall to stand for decades. This is the simplest but most effective wall to hold the slope behind a residence. But unfortunately, it is still expensive. You can call and ask our sponsors if you need a price for any of these steps. Thank you for watching another one of our explanation videos. Keep in touch by clicking that bell and you'll be notified of our next videos. Here we talk about construction in general and anything and everything that goes into it. So we are always revealing tips, that secrets and other things that contractors do not tell you. So stay tuned and watch some more of our videos. All the drawings and the illustrations that you saw in this video can be downloaded from the link at the description below. So if you like what you just watched and was helpful to you, please like and subscribe. We will make more of these videos regularly. If you need any answer in specific that we did not address in this video, or you feel that you can add to this video, just ask a question or comment below, and we will do all we can to answer each one of your questions individually. See you later, alligator. Until the next time with explanation.